So the idea is that when we multiply fractions, we multiply across the top and we multiply across the bottom. So you would have 4 times 9. We could rewrite this part up here as 4 times 9, 9 times 16, right? And then I could solve that by going 4 times 9 equals 36, and 9 times 16 equals 144. So I could have, oops, that's not the right number. Now, I could divide my top and my bottom there by, let's see what number's going to go into it. Let's do 12 to start with, because I can see that that's a common multiple of both. Top and bottom by 12, that'll be simplifying my fraction, and I'll get myself to 3 over 12, which I can further simplify by dividing the top and the bottom by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. That'll give me 1/4. So I could solve it like that. It gets a little bit messy. See how we've got this large number here. I've got to do large multiples. I've got to work out what my common factor is, which is not too bad when it's a 12 and I can work that out because I just know that off the top of my head, but sometimes it'd be a little bit tricky. So there is another thing we can do in this scenario. So that'd be the straight normal way of doing your fractions. But we can also cancel out. So the idea there is that when we've got to this step here, I can do whatever I want to this fraction as long as I do the same thing to the top as I do to the bottom. So for example, I could times all the top by 2 and the bottom by 2, and I would end up with the same number. Like the top would be twice as large now, the bottom would be twice as large now, but it would work out as the same fraction. When I simplified it back down again, I'm still going to end up at 1/4. By the other token, I can divide the top by any number and the bottom by any number. As long as I do it to the top and the bottom, and I use the same number, and I use the same, like if I'm going to divide, then I have to divide the top by the same number as I do the bottom. So what I mean by that is that then that allows me to look at the common multiples that are in the top here that are also in the bottom here. So I can see that I've got a 9 up the top and a 9 down the bottom, which means I could divide my top by 9 and my bottom by 9. And that means I'm going to have 9 divided by 9, which just equals 1, and I'm going to have 9 divided by 9, it's going to equal 1 down the bottom there too. So now, that's now 1s. So I can see now that I'm able to change that straight away to 4/16. Because I've cancelled out, one way we can think about it is we cancel out those 9s above and beyond, or we can think about it as in we divide by that number. Now the other common multiple that I've got here is that I've got a 4 here, and I also know that 16 is a multiple of 4. So I can divide my top by 4 and divide my bottom by 4, and that will give me 1/4. And see how I end up exactly the same way, but by dividing by 9 and then dividing by 4, or by cancelling out my 4s and my 9s, I haven't had to do any large multiplication, and I haven't had to do any tricky simplification by working out what my factors are.